Welcome to the Sushi Onsen AMA, where we host projects that have partnered through the Onsen program to provide them a platform to reach a larger audience. Today we have Tishana with Siren Markets here to talk about their project. Welcome.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, first of all, just tell us a little bit about Siren Markets.
Sure. So I think the fastest soundbite possible is that Siren Markets is a place for people to go and trade cryptocurrency options. And if you hold an altcoin and we provide options for it, then it's a place for you to go and stake your coins and earn passive rewards as an LP. So the longer answer is that we are a decentralized application. So we use the blockchain to allow people to speculate on the blockchain. And we have fully collateralized options contracts. And that means that if you are a trader and you come to our platform, all of the capital is actually housed on chain. So you know that you can come in and at any time move in and out of our markets. Our focus is creating a very high quality experience for sophisticated users. We have a lot of former finance people on the team and really interested in creating an experience that feels like it takes all of the easy parts of traditional finance but bringing it to the decentralized future. So that's like the quickest little soundbite.
All right, awesome.
Let me maybe give you a short summary of the company. So we launched in March, and prior to that, we were in beta, and we launched our beta in November. And our focus right now is on the long tail of assets, essentially offering many different kinds of altcoins. Degens can get excited about options on Wi-Fi and Sushi, of course. Sushi trades very well on our platform. And essentially to become the Uniswap of options. And our AMM, our automated market maker, is custom built specifically for options and uses these passive liquidity pools. So if you own a bunch of sushi, you can put your sushi in, and as an aggregate, you become a writer of sushi options, and then you can make money off of your passive staking. And our AMM does all of the management, pricing, expirations, and rollovers.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, lots of stuff there. Let's just talk a little bit about where your background is all this, like where your team has kind of dealt with options or any financial background and crypto background.
Sure. So as a team, we are still sort of pseudonymous. We don't tell our identities, but if you really need to find us and talk to us, then you can find us on the internet.
Yeah. Okay.
But many members of the team have finance backgrounds. We have a former hedge fund, traditional finance, high-frequency trading firm, private equity, investment banking, and I think at one point every single member of the team has been on a previous crypto project. I think we've recently hired one person who has not worked in crypto before, but everybody else is a crypto veteran. So we have lots of finance experience and lots of crypto experience.
Awesome. That's really good to hear. Yeah. Okay. So, what are some of your key strengths with Siren? How do you guys feel like you're differentiating yourself from, I guess, some of your competitors as well?
So, briefly, let me just say why you might want to use Siren in general. That options are really powerful because they allow you to speculate on the market now without having to wait for market movements. And options are really cool because they allow you to have the entire upside of a cryptocurrency while limiting your downside. And so because we allow people to come and buy options at any time, that's something like, unlike Open uses a pricing by an order book. So you can only sell your option if somebody is willing to buy. Well, they have market makers that are on the other side of the trade, and market makers will adjust their strategy based on market conditions. So when you need to sell the most is probably when they're the least interested in selling. But our AMM will always be there to buy or sell at any time. And so that's one of our our AMM is really powerful, and it's actually structured so that it protects LPs. Our pricing we're a little tiny bit overpriced, so that if you come and you buy an option from us, you may pay slightly more, but if you sell back to the pool, then you know that it will also be buying back at a premium.
Right.
So you can come and you can both deposit as an LP, and you know that because we're slightly overpriced, you're unlikely to lose money. And then as a trader, you can come and you can enter in and you can exit out of your position at any time. That's also, like, for example, on Hedgic, once you buy into a position, you must hold for the entire duration of the option. And so we have, because we've tokenized both sides of the option, the writer and the buyer side, then you can move in and out of the option at any time. So it's starting to feel more like a traditional finance environment where you can begin to construct more sophisticated portfolios without actually having to interact with a centralized system.
Yeah, okay. All right.
You might want to use Siren instead of Deribit, for example, because as a trader on Deribit, you actually have to put your money in there, whereas from Siren, you can trade directly from your own wallet, and it's non-custodial, and you always have ownership of your own funds.
Yeah, that's good.
And as an LP, to be an option seller on Deribit is very onerous. You probably will write your own bot, and it really is only available to professionals. And so on Deribit, all of your yields are accruing to market makers. So at Siren, we've taken this idea that the big market maker makes all the money, and we take that and then we slice it up, and everybody who's an LP gets to participate in being a market maker. So rather than it all going to the big whale, everybody can be a market maker.
Hey, very cool. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, and just touching back on the custodial part of things, there's the beauty of decentralized finance, that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Right, as long as you know what you've done with your keys, you're going to be fine. But this is a cornerstone issue of crypto in general.
That's right, and boating accidents are going to be at an all-time high this year, I think. So, all right. Now it looks like you've got your options are broke down into B tokens and W tokens. You want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So when LPs deposit capital into a pool, say that you are a holder of Sushi and you really deeply believe in Sushi and you don't want to sell your Sushi, but you want to be able to make money with it. So you might take your Sushi and deposit it into our pool, at which point you and all of the other people in aggregate become options writers. And you individually will then get LP tokens back. It's sort of like when you deposit to Uniswap, you get Uni tokens back you can turn them in order to redeem. So you get your LP tokens back. Then when traders buy from the pool's collateral, maybe some of the Sushi that you put in, is used to create a B token W token pair. Every B token has a corresponding W token. Every buyer has an other side writer. The B token goes to the trader. Say I've purchased a Sushi option, and the W token stays in the pool. So the AMM has some amount of collateral swimming around in it, and it has some amount of W tokens, which represents half of an option which somebody has purchased.
Okay.
When an LP withdraws, let's say that you decided that you want to take your Sushi back, then you can either get your collateral as is, which is a fractional share of whatever is going on in the Sushi pool. So let's say that it was 70% Sushi and 30% W tokens. If you withdrew, you would get, out of the money that you put in, you would also get 70-30. You would get 70% Sushi and 30% W tokens. So you could hold on to those W tokens, and then when my option, either I exercise it or expires unexercised, then your W token will essentially then convert back into Sushi, and then you can click claim on our page. Or you can say, I don't want to wait, I want all my Sushi back now. You can actually sell your W tokens back to the pool, which it costs a little more to do that, it causes slippage depending on how big your percentage in the pool is. So if you want to get out early, you have to pay a little, but it goes to all the LPs that are still in the pool. So the people who are willing to hodl get paid for the people who want to pull out early.
Right. So yeah, a classic incentivization for participation. Right. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So then, as the purchaser of the sushi option, I can choose to sell my V token back to the pool to exit my position if I want. Then that V token gets matched with its W token in the pool, and the collateral is then released back into the pool. Like you put the B token and the W token back together, they convert back into some sushi, and the sushi then gets thrown back into the pool for subsequent trades. LPs in the pool are earning returns on option writing premiums. So whenever I go in and I purchase an option, I pay for the right to purchase that option. Trading fees, so every time we have a little bit of slippage when people trade in and out of the pool, and our pricing in particular protects LPs, like we're a little overpriced so that we make sure that LPs make money. And WTO conversion fees, and right now we're providing incentives for LPs in the form of Siren rewards. So you're earning money on many different fronts here as an LP.
Yeah, okay. All right. And
so did all that make sense? There are a lot of moving pieces here, but the idea is basically you have pooled people who are offering collateral and people like me who might want to come in and buy an option.
Right. And because we're pooling it all like this, and what I'd seen earlier here was how your token, you're not having to put like the time period or like your expiry time and the and like the strike price of options. That right. Kind of created
That's like very different from Hedgic, for example, where you actually have to choose, okay, my money is going in here, and this is going to be my strike price, this is going to be my expiration. Our markets are predetermined. Like, for example, if I wanted to come in and buy an option, I have to choose between which options markets are currently active.
Right.
But as an LP, we have perpetual LPing. There's no, like, on Deribit, you have to actually go in and get your collateral back and pick a new one and put your money back in. We think that, in general, people that want to participate in this kind of program are much more interested in just passively making returns on their sushi than they are in having to go in and, like, refresh their capital every 30 days or whenever the market expires.
Right, yeah, so this offers more of a passive approach, and nowhere near the maintenance then. And then with the way that this token structure is, this in turn is going to create more liquidity for these markets as well, because we're not, again, specific to a type of option where, you know, with a set expiry and strike price.
The only ones that use a passive LP program, like Hedgic, for example, also does passive LPing, but okay. Our combination of being able to move in and out of your position, like buy your B token, sell your B token, and also be a passive LP, that's unique to Siren.
Ah, okay. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, so with in there you'd kind of mentioned like the Black Shoals approximation. I'd seen that on your website. How is that something like, just walk us through that a little bit too, if you can, to help us.
Right. So if you want all of the details on our AMM, you are better off going to the documentation on our website, because there's lots of very technical things in there. But I can give you the brief overview, which is our AMM is custom built specifically for options. And our AMM protects LPs while giving optionality to traders. And the benefit of this structure is that we can do everything on chain, and because we're fully collateralized, all of the options, all of the money, you know that you can come in and out at every time. And for pricing, we use implied volatility for an asset, and then we plug that into a linear approximation of a Black-Scholes model. We don't use the full Black-Scholes model for forecasting pricing, because if we did that, in theory we could shove it all on chain, but it would be very expensive in terms of gas overhead. And so we use a linear approximation for Black-Scholes, and then in addition, we use to calculate slippage, so that as people come in and out of the pool, depending on what size you are in terms of an LP, it will change the calculation for what it should be as you come in as an LP. So I think does that sort of cover all the bases?
Yeah, all of that helps. If anybody that is more technical and understands that, I'm sure that will explain a little bit for them. So that's great. Now, in regards to helping with sushi and whatnot, so how can you, as you're using these liquidity pools and the AMM, how do you see Sushi helping out, or how do you see Siren implementing with Sushi and with Sushi Swap and everything? Can our AMM help you in some way as well, or is this all specifically towards the Siren AMM, or
This one actually goes both ways. We both mutually benefit, because at Siren we provide a place for people to sync their sushi and earn passive rewards on it. Mm-hmm. But then we at Siren, we have our own governance token. And so we are very excited to move over to Sushi as our DEX of choice. We are moving our liquidity over and excited to partner up with the Onsen program. So because people have been so interested in sushi options and the sushi team was so excited to host us, it felt like a really good partnership. So excited to move over in terms of you guys helping with our token liquidity and we can help with your token. It's going to be great.
Yeah, perfect. No, and that's just good for both of our communities to understand how that partnership kind of works there. So, yeah, that's cool. What about with the X-Sushi token? Is that, because you mentioned the sushi token, but the X-Sushi token. So there's going to be several people that have locked up their X-Sushi. And would they be able to use that? Is that available right now, or is it still vanilla sushi?
Interesting question. We could potentially create a market for X-Sushi where people could speculate on the future price of the X token, of the X-Sushi, and then LPs could actually stake their own, and then they could earn double rewards in something that they're already having returned as a reward. That's a very interesting idea. That's sort of meta, and we haven't really gotten there yet, but I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, it could bring an interesting variation, because the X-Sushi, I guess, is it a little bit elastic or variable? I guess is maybe is the proper word, but...
Yeah, I like the idea of adding yielding assets in the future, because it provides an incentive for people to continue to hold what they already have, and people have a lot of those lying around, so why not actually do something with them?
Right. So, yeah, cool. Just anybody in the audience, if you have any questions, I'll just open this up here right now to give you an option. Just unmute yourself and feel free to speak up and ask any questions here. We've gone through a bunch here with this, so. That's all right.
I joined late, but can you go through the intended date for when the rewards program would start on Sushi Swap?
The intended date is tomorrow, actually.
Great. So enough time for LPs to bring over liquidity before rewards end on the 29th then?
Yeah, that was the goal. We wanted to make sure that everybody could move everything over and we could get everything. I mean, we have to move our own liquidity, which, because we have multi-sig voting with our liquidity, everything has to require many signatures across many time zones. It's a huge pain in the butt. So we're right there with you on wanting to make sure we have enough time to get it done.
Great.
Yeah, awesome question.
Yeah. And is that on target? I know that you said intended date. Is that
We are currently on target. If we slip, I'll let you know in the Telegram channel as soon as possible. Right now, we are still on target.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. You want to just talk about the tokenomics a little bit as well? Just distribution and everything and up to this point.
Oh, sure. For the side token?
Yes.
Yeah, so our governance token so far has the majority of the release of those has been through the LP program, and our LP rewards, we ran a program beginning in the beginning of 2021, it's essentially from November 2020 to Jan 21. And then we had a proposal go up in the governance forum for a new round, and then we ran a new round. And about a month ago, we had another proposal go up in our governance forum for essentially switching to a permanent rewards program where, based upon the utilization of various pools, so if people are buying lots of sushi calls, then we should reward LPs in the sushi pool because we want people to put their money into places where we're actually having action. So we implemented SIP 11, Siren Improvement Proposal number 11, and since SIP 11, that program is essentially moving into perpetuity until, I guess, there's a new governance proposal to change it. And so that right now is paying out rewards to LPs, and it's calculated once per day at some random time. And so every time we add a new pool, the rewards get then redistributed based upon where the action is. And recently we actually just consolidated all of our rewards for, we wanted to have WETH puts, like WETH puts, and because we saw a lot of interest in people who wanted to essentially bet against the crypto market, and ETH is a really good proxy for that. But we weren't seeing a lot of action on puts for the other sides of our cryptocurrencies, so we consolidated all of the LP rewards into basically the other side of WETH. So that's been a recent change in that. Other than that, if you really want like a very detailed breakdown of all of our tokenomics, there's a Medium post that has like pie charts and graphs and things. And I guess I can send you that link and you can put it up later. But if you go to Siren Markets Medium, it's in there. We did a balancer distribution in March, and on that post it has all kinds of information about our token.
All right, wicked. Thank you. Also, you're looking at your website. It's very C-oriented, C-people-oriented. You want to talk us a little bit through that and kind of where that all came from?
Yeah. So actually, originally, the idea for the name Siren, when it was first proposed, they meant it like an emergency siren. But when I saw Siren, I just immediately thought, oh my goodness, these are the waters, the deep sea waters that are uncharted, that have potential amazing benefits, but also might have sea monsters out there. This is a perfect analogy for financial markets and for decentralized finance. So this is completely uncharted territory. We are making a whole new world, and so the idea of us as merfolk guiding people into the great watery unknown, it's been great to, as sort of a non-team, to be merfolk on the internet. I have a great time being a mermaid.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool that you've got a bit of marketing and branding with that, and it's just so much fun. That's what's really cool about crypto, is being able to bring a little bit of fun and play into this space. So,
it's really a pleasure going from a former finance job to being a mermaid on the internet and getting to wake up every day and feel like I'm actually working towards changing the world, and also get to be a mermaid. It's great.
Perfect. Anyone in the audience, if you've got questions, please unmute yourself and speak up here if anything else is sparked for you.
I had one that's kind of just general on financial markets. Do you know the size of options markets and like maybe equities or something, and like public equities comparatively to like spot markets, and the size of those two comparatively?
I'm not sure if I know that figure off the top of my head, but I think it's something like trillions to billions. It's a really insane multiplier of people that want to speculate on the assets without actually having to hold the entire asset themselves. When you think about it, the whole power of options in general is that you could participate in the full upside of, for example, the movement of sushi without having to own the whole sushi. you can, just for the price of the premium, which is a fraction of the actual price, can buy the right in the future to buy the asset, and then you can close out your position and sell whatever you've acquired and then only take the upside. So you get the full upside without ever having to actually buy the entire asset. So it's this great way of multiplying capital. And unlike when you have a leveraged position, for example, like instead of splitting your capital to buy lots of options premiums, you could instead borrow money and then buy things, is that when you use leverage to buy assets, if the market dips too low, and let's say that, crypto is volatile, and the price of something drops really low, but you expect that it's going to come back up because, hodl, then if you're borrowing, if you're using leverage, you might actually get liquidated out of your position and lose everything. Like they say, oh, you can't cover your borrowing costs anymore, and they just wipe out your entire position. So by buying options, you can actually become less path dependent. Like with options, you can sit out, and as long as you've chosen a far enough time horizon, you can still profit in the end. You've reduced your risk that your timing might be off, even if your idea is right. So I know, sorry, that took a detour sort of away from your original question, but that's why options are really awesome in the first place.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I guess the one difference was that I was under the impression that futures markets take up the majority of that quadrillion, and that quadrillion was about just derivatives in general versus just options. So I was wondering if there's like kind of any kind of metric around just options versus other derivatives comparatively to spot markets.
It's a good question, and I will do some research and get back to you.
Thank you.
That sounds like it's going to be a good post.
Cool.
Awesome. Anyone else have any further questions?
Hi, are you able to hear me?
We got you.
So do you guys have any ongoing effort to move to any of the L2s or sidechains?
This is everyone's favorite question. I'm glad you asked it. We are currently exploring multiple different options when it comes to L2s, and we're close with multiple teams and have talked about what that implementation could look like. And we actually do have on the roadmap for after we deploy Siren V2. I haven't even talked about V2. We should talk about that before we're done. After we deploy V2 at the end of this quarter, to immediately move on to tackling L2, because it seems like there's really traction on that right now, and it's really important. So, good question.
Thanks. Could you also kind of go through V2 if...
Totally. Yeah, that's thanks for reminding me. V2, its largest, most impactful... Oh, do you mind muting yourself? Your line is a little staticky. Sorry. The most impactful change in V2 is we're actually moving from ERC20 to 2155, which is the standard that's used for NFTs. And the reason we're making that change is instead of having every W token and B token individually created every time we have to make a market, which is a huge pain in the butt and also costs lots of gas fees, we're instead essentially making a prototype or a template for a market, and then using 2155 we can then deploy multiple different versions as if they were NFTs, like individual versions from the template. So that is the biggest single optimization, which has been the hugest lift, and we're about to go into code freeze for auditing. 115 from there. And so in addition to that, we're also turning on cash settlement. The benefit of cash settlement is that people can now have cashless exercise of their options. Essentially right now, if I wanted to exercise my sushi option, I actually have to pay for the other side. Like I have to actually pony up the USDC in order to get it out. And instead, with cashless exercise, we can come in and you can just claim the difference on how much you're in the money rather than actually having to put up the money and then take the money back out. So that's been a great that's going to make a huge difference on our user interface. I think those are the biggest things that we have going on right now. Then coming up in the future, we are designing a new AMM. We've actually created our architecture so that everything to do with the functionality of options is separate from everything to do with the AMM, the pricing, and the pooling, so that we can continue to make changes to the AMM without dealing with any of the actual options layer. So AMM with better pricing for traders and hopefully support for spreads, which would be really awesome. Options, if you have spreads, can be combined to produce basically any flavor of risk exposure that you want. By combining multiple options, you can create a whole portfolio for essentially making money if the asset either goes up or down. You can create a portfolio where you make money if the asset doesn't move. So moving forward, we're really looking to expand the maturity of how many markets we can have and what you can do with all of them.
So when you said you were changing to a new ERC token format, does that mean we can kind of, if you want to buy options, you can buy it at variable strike prices, or will the strike prices still be predetermined in V2?
We are still going to be predetermined, but we're just going to be able to support more of them. In order to be able to have it be tokenized, we can only have a limited number of them because we have to actually deploy each individual token, but there will just be more choices.
Awesome. Does that answers for you there, Vincom?
Cool. The other thing is, so it's like a flash exercise, not a cash settle, because I think when you use the actual token to mint the put options, you can only get the benefit till like 50% of the way down, right? Because after that, that's the maximum amount of gain you can have from put options. But if you use like let's say USDC to mint options and then settle it arbitrarily without using the actual token, I think you have access to the full downside for put options, or am I mistaken? I feel like that's the experience I had from other platforms like Hedgic.
Let me see if I can restate your question here because I'm not entirely clear that I understand. So when your question is that when you want to close out your position, just state your question again because I didn't get it.
So like in a call option, you can, let's say you buy an option, an ETH option for 0.2 ETH, and let's say, I don't know, goes like, you get a lot of upside, and then you can kind of exercise it for the entire gain. But on the way down, it's not the same because when you exercise it, you're in the underlying asset that you're getting in return is.
Puts are collateralized using USDC and is settled in USDC.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
you're buying the other side.
Okay, got it. That was my mistake. Thanks.
Got it. We figured it out in the end.
Awesome. Perfect. Anyone else have any other questions?
Can you go over some of the strategy around, like, is the target to, like, increase TVL as kind of like the North Star metric, or is it to increase volume? And on whichever North Star metric that Siren's currently measuring itself on, kind of what's the general strategy of hitting that target?
It's really about trading volume and open interest on trading, because at the end of the day, our goal is to be a trading platform. And because of the way that our AMM works, we actually don't need as much liquidity to be able to serve our traders as other protocols might need. it has to do with essentially the calculations of slippage when people move in and out of the pool. We can change the way that things are priced, and so we don't need as much liquidity to serve the same number of options, which is great. And so TVL for us is sort of more of a vanity metric than it is a real metric. For us, trading volume is really the one. And we've recently just crossed 10 million in trading volume, which is awesome, and we're super excited about it.
And do you see the way to like really increasing trading volume being through retail or mostly through institutional, and kind of like depending on which one of those you kind of like see as the path forward, what specific like initiatives are you taking to try to grab either of those segments?
That's a great question. I love this question. So for us, we're really focused on the sophisticated retail. People who already are interested in DeFi, maybe they're people who are using leverage, but instead offering them a high-quality options product. Because of we're providing this long tail of assets, and our pricing, like if you're looking for strictly competitive options pricing, then you should probably go to Deribit, because our pricing isn't our special sauce. It's not bad, but our special sauce is that we are providing options on assets that nobody's really providing, and an experience for trading that is much more user-friendly. And we like to think that we are much more open to receiving feedback and improving our product. So with that in mind, we're trying to attract the people who are excited about different altcoins and people who are already involved in DeFi. Then projects like the Sushi partnership, for example, providing options for Sushi, and then joining Sushi Swap. We are moving forward in the vein of launching more assets on our platform, and as we do that, engaging the communities of each asset in co-marketing, co-branding, and so that the members of those communities realize that they can LP and speculate on their favorite altcoin over here at Siren. And hopefully this starts the snowball rolling of people discovering that you can do pretty much anything over here as long as we support it on the market.
And how big do you think the sophisticated retail segment that you're focusing on can get in terms of trading volume?
Eventually we are going to tap out of people that we can steal from Deribit and other platforms, but I'm hopeful that at that point we have reached a critical mass in DeFi in general, and our product is easy to use enough that the friction from bringing people over from traditional finance is going to be less onerous than it has been in the past. I think there are people out there who, if they knew that crypto existed and that you could actually have sophisticated trading strategies, they would be all over it. So as we finally start to create tools that have the same level of power as TradFi, so if step one is figure out who all the sophisticated people are and then take them, use them to develop a really awesome product that can then appeal to non-crypto people. That's like the long-term vision.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? If you've got questions for Tishana, please let us know here. Please speak up.
I guess I can add on to the last point if no one else had something to bring up. So for sophisticated investors or sophisticated retail investors, fees are obviously a large part of it. And you talked a little bit about layer twos, but how do you think kind of like the just the fees of the network that Siren's going to be on is going to affect volume and affect usage by the sophisticated retail investors?
Yeah, I think people are going, as we see more projects move over onto various L2 solutions, I think people are going to become less tolerant of outrageous gas fees. It's really when you're in something like a time-sensitive market, where you're like, oh, I think this thing is going to moon right now. I got to buy an option right now. And then you go and the gas fee is like 5 times the amount of your premium. It's just not viable anymore. And I think that's why L2 is such a huge priority for us next quarter. So yeah, It's important. We're going to do it.
And do you have a specific layer that you're biased towards?
So we have so far talked to Arbitrum, Polygon, Optimism, and I think those are really our top contenders right now. And they have various pros and cons between all of them. Some of them, the engineering lift might be lighter. Some of them, some of them have various drawbacks in terms of when you can withdraw your capital and when you can't. So we're pretty deeply evaluating all of them from a technical perspective, and we have thoughts, and hopefully we're going to pick something and get it done pretty soon.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. If anybody else has any questions here as we wrap up? Okay. Well, if not, Tishana, thank you very much for giving us a good outline and breakdown and some education here about Siren. Can you just give us, let us know how we can get a hold of you guys, how we can find out more about you, any socials, your web links, all that.
You can find all of the web links, sirenmarkets.com. They're all there. We have a Discord channel. We also have a Telegram, and you can always find us at either of them pretty much any time. So thank you very much for having me. This was super fun. This was great. Thanks so much to everybody at Sushi. We're really excited to be part of your program.
Yeah, awesome. No, this is fantastic. Thank you guys for showing up, and yeah, thank you for all of your input and everything here. So once again, that's sirenmarkets.com, and that's SIREN markets.com, just in case anyone is wondering about the spelling. And yeah, this, I think that's we've covered a lot here today. So I'm really pleased with how this has all gone. And yeah. Also want to mention that anybody that has been a part of this AMA, I've taken some screenshots here and tried to capture everyone. I will be distributing POAPs, P-O-A-Ps, which are proof of attendance protocol badges. So I'll send one of those out to each and every one of you, and I'm going to try and do that moving forward here with any AMAs in the forums. So try and incentivize a bit of participation from people and give you a little something for showing up here. So anyhow, thank you everyone for showing up, and yeah, look forward to seeing you all in the next one, and yeah, looking forward to see what Siren has and moving forward here with Sushi and with everything else that you guys have. So thank you again.
Thanks so much.
Alrighty, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.